months. Hi everyone, Aaron here again. In our last video, we talked about twang and how it can help us with our voice projection. How creating that mini loudspeaker in our throat can help us to make a high and loud sound without straining or pushing with our breath. If you want to learn more about this, go back to watch that video and then come back here. We were also talking about how when someone sings with twang, it may sound as though we are placing our voice in or near our nose, meaning it sounds nasalized. So for example, when I talk with twang, like what I'm doing now, you may think I'm very nasal. But there's a major misconception here regarding nasality and twang. Here's why.
Aaron's Knowledge Bank.
What is nasality? Remember that our voice begins at our true vocal folds, where our sound is first produced. Then it travels up through our throat, and it can actually choose two main pathways to go to. It's a little bit like MRT train tracks. The train can choose which track it wants to travel on. One pathway is through our mouth, our oral cavity, and this is why some people would say that we need to open our mouth when we sing. Another pathway is through our nose or our nasal cavity, and that produces a fully nasal voice. When someone talks with a nasalized voice, the sound actually travels through both the nasal and the oral cavity. So we get to hear the words that are being pronounced in the mouth, but yet the voice sounds nasalized because some of the sound is actually going through the nose. And there's a tract switcher up near the back of our throat, which is the soft palate, which manages the tract that our voice travels on. It moves to channel our voice to the different pathways. Following me so far? So our vocal MRT train can actually travel either through the mouth or through the nose, or it can even split itself and travel on both tracks through the mouth and the nose at the same time. Pretty amazing, right? Oh my God! So how do we nasalize our voice? Just say the letters M, N, and also NG as in sing. Can you feel your voice shifting into the nasal cavity? In order to feel our soft palate and feel the switching of our tracks, we can say gi, gi. Saying brings us into our nasal sound, and saying gi brings us into our oral sound. You can practice saying it quickly to really feel that soft palate moving. We can also place one finger on our nose to feel the difference in vibration when we move between a nasalized or a nasal sound and an oral sound. A nasal sound should have more vibrations in the nose, and an oral sound will have much lesser or no sense of vibration in the nose. Now remember that when we twang, we are making a mini loudspeaker within our throat just above our true vocal folds. But when we nasalize, we move our soft palate, which is higher up and near to the back of our throat. There are two different and separate structures within our vocal tract. When we twang, we actually get more high frequency sounds and our voice becomes brighter. But when we nasalize, we actually get a voice that sounds less clear and more muted. This is because the higher and brighter frequencies in our voice are absorbed by the structures within the nasal cavity. So if I talk in a twangy voice and direct the sound totally through my mouth, I would sound like this. And if I twang and direct the sound to both my mouth and my nose, I would sound like this. Can you hear the difference? Let me sing with twang on an E vowel and vary the sounds between oral and nasalized so you can pick out the differences easier. Can you hear my tract switcher, my soft palate, working hard to direct the sound? I'm effectively switching between my nasal twang and my oral twang. So what is the difference? When I let my twangy voice pass through my nasal cavity, the sound sort of gets less bright and less piercing. It kind of takes off some of that sharpness, but it also means my voice gets muted slightly. And so the next time you hear someone singing with twang, know that they may or may not be nasalized. It depends on which track their voice is going through and how much of the sound goes through the mouth or their nose. Now you know. Alright, so all this is pretty cool and pretty fun to play with, but what is it used for? How can I apply this knowledge to how I sing? Sometimes singers nasalize their voice in order to create a warmer and less piercing tone. This is done to create a certain mood or just to make themselves sound more intimate. For example, Michael Bublé does like to sing slightly nasalized sometimes, and in this song Feeling Good, we can practice singing with nasalized and oral sounds in the verse section. Here's how it sounds like without much nasality, meaning focusing on directing my voice towards my mouth. Birds flying high, you know what I mean. And now with some nasality, meaning directing my voice through my mouth and some of it through my nose. Birds flying high, you know what I mean. Can you hear the difference? What if I put all my sound through my nose? It sounds like this. Of course, when I sing words with or words beginning with M or N, I have to nasalize them to make these nasal consonants. But we can always choose to sing with an oral tone when we are sustaining our vowels. Just like all other singing techniques, rarely do we nasalize everything or sing totally oral throughout the entire song. It's all about varying our tone and adding more vocal color to our singing voice. Now that you know how to switch between your vocal tracks, between your nose, mouth, or both, try it out and see how it changes your singing. In the next video, we'll talk about yet another fun vocal track structure that we can play with to vary our vocal color, and that is our larynx. See you soon!